the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network's Structural Racism Toolkit. What is race? A society is a big group of communities. A society usually has rules and people in charge. The United States is one society. We all live in societies. Society makes different ways to group people. One way to group people is by race. There are different races people can belong to. Each person can be part of one race or multiple races. Some examples are Black, White, Asian, and Latinx. Race is one way to group people. Society made up the idea of race to group people. They wanted ways to talk about where people came from. They wanted ways to talk about how some people were different from others. For example, people have different skin colors. They called these differences racial traits. Traits are different things about a person. For example, someone could be shy or have long hair. These are traits. Racial traits are differences in how people look and how their birth family looks. Everyone looks different. When people made up the idea of race, they used traits to group people into races. For example, skin color, eye shape, hair texture, where you were born, and where your birth parents were born. Society put people in different groups based on these things. Sometimes these were differences in how people looked. Sometimes these were differences in how people's parents and grandparents looked. Sometimes these were differences in where people were from, or where their parents and grandparents were from. Society used these things to make up racial groups. A racial group is a group of people that society has decided are the same race as each other. Society decided what traits made someone part of a racial group. People do look different and come from different places, but society chose what differences put someone in a racial group. For example, Dana's family comes from England. George's family comes from France. In the US, Dana and George are both part of the same racial group. Society decided that they were both white. The difference between them does not mean they are in different racial groups. Here's another example. Theo has very light skin. Xavier has very dark skin. In the US, Theo and Xavier are part of different racial groups. Society decided that they are not in the same group. Society decided this based on their skin color. Society uses many traits to decide what race someone is. For example, Anna might have light skin, but one of her parents is Black. In the US, Anna is considered Black or multiracial. This is true even if when people see Anna, they might think she is white. White people decided the racial groups that are used in the US. White people in power decided who would be in what group. They decided what racial traits were important. Then, white people discriminated against other racial groups. This is racism. For example, the US set limits on who could come to the US. These limits were based on racial groups. White people in power decided which countries are white. They wanted only white people to move to the US. They banned people from certain countries from coming to the US. These countries had people from different races. We talk more about this in other sections of this toolkit. Society made up race. Sometimes the way society defines racial groups changes over time. They decide different traits make someone part of a racial group. For example, 100 years ago, people from Italy were not considered white in the US. Now, Italian people are considered white. Sometimes different places use different racial groups or traits. The same person might be put in one racial group in the US, but a different one in Brazil or Singapore. A lot of people who are put in the same racial groups are very different from each other. For example, one race is Asian. Not everyone from Asia is considered part of the Asian racial group. People who are considered Asian are also very different from each other. They can come from very different places. They can look very different from each other. They also have different cultures and history. Racial groups are not based on science. People made them up. It is true that people look different. It is true that people are from different places. But racial groups are made up. Some people think that racial groups are based on science. They think that racial groups tell us a lot about different groups of people. They sometimes think that people of different races are stronger or weaker. They sometimes think people of different races are more or less smart. This is not true. Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. For more information, visit our website, autisticadvocacy.org.